So, what's the single biggest reason a new product fails? It's not the money. It's not even the team. Nope. It's because they never figured out their value proposition. And today, we're going to fix that. We're going to break down, step by step, how you can go from just a vague idea to a product people are actually desperate to get their hands on. And let's get real about the stakes right from the jump. This quote from Harvard Innovation Labs, it's not just some catchy phrase, it's the stone cold truth. If you don't absolutely nail the value you're providing, seriously, nothing else matters. So the question is, how do you avoid being part of that statistic? That's the big question, right? And that is exactly what we are here to figure out. We're going to walk through a proven framework, piece by piece, to build a value proposition that really, truly connects with people. All right, so step one, find your who. Now, it sounds super simple, but I promise you, every great value proposition on the planet begins right here with this one question. For who? Before you can even think about solving a problem, you have to know whose problem you're solving. And this right here is the first major trap. If your answer to who is this for is, oh, it's for everyone, you're trying to boil the ocean. It's just not going to happen. You'll have no focus, no target, and your message will be so generic it won't resonate with anyone. Specificity is your best friend here. But wait, it actually gets even more specific. Because a lot of the time, the person using your product is not the same person paying for it. Think about that for a sec. Yeah, you have to convince the customer, the one with the wallet, that there's a payoff. But that's pretty much impossible if the user isn't getting real value. You need that user pull. If they love it, if they can't live without it, then the customer has a really compelling reason to open that wallet. And this is where this brilliant idea of a minimum viable segment, or MVS, comes into play. Look, we've all heard of an MVP, a minimum viable product. Well, think of the MVS as its perfect dance partner. Instead of trying to build for everybody, you find the smallest, most specific group of people who all share the exact same intense pain point. You solve it perfectly for them, you learn everything you can, and then you expand. Okay, so once you've zeroed in on your who, the very next step is to find their what. What is the problem you're actually solving? And look, it can't be some minor annoyance. You are hunting for what people call a hair on fire problem. You know, something so painful, they're absolutely desperate to put it out right now. This quote, man, it is everything. If you can't clearly, simply articulate the pain point you are going after, you will never be able to build the right solution. The more crystal clear you can be about the problem, the easier it is for your whole team to rally around building the perfect answer. So, how do you know if a problem is really a big deal? Is it actually worth solving? Well, here's a super powerful little test, the 4 U's framework. You're looking for a problem that is unworkable, unavoidable, urgent, and underserved. If you can honestly check all 4 of those boxes, you might be onto something huge. Let's make this real. Check out this case study for Selene Health, a company focused on menopause management. Let's run it through the 4 U's. Is the problem unworkable? Yep, severe symptoms can literally stop women from being able to work. Is it unavoidable? It's a biological reality, so yes. Urgent? Oh, you better believe it. When symptoms hit, relief is needed now. And finally, is it underserved? Massively. Only a tiny fraction of research funding goes here. Check, 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 and check. That is a powerful foundation for a business. All right, so you found your who, you've got a hair on fire problem. Now it gets really tempting to just say your solution is faster, better, or cheaper than what's already out there. But to truly build something that breaks through the noise, you gotta aim higher than that. Here's why that's a trap. You're basically picking a fight you can't win. Competing on faster, better, cheaper is just a game of resources, and a big established company can almost always throw more money and more people at a problem than a startup. It's a battle you're probably not going to win. So instead of playing their game, you need to change the game entirely. You need to aim for what's called a 3D breakthrough. Ask yourself, is your solution disruptive? Does it change the whole business model, like Airbnb did to hotels? Is it discontinuous? Meaning, does it enable something that was totally impossible before, like how AWS enabled the cloud? And finally, is it defensible? Can you build a moat around it so competitors can't just easily copy you? And now we've reached the final stage, the moment of truth. Before you spend a dime or a minute building anything, you have to be brutally honest and figure out if your value prop is actually strong enough to make someone change their behavior. A fantastic way to do this is with the before and after test. Paint a really clear picture of the world before your solution. Describe that acute pain. And then paint an even more vivid picture of the world after your solution exists. The transformation has to be dramatic. We're talking about moving someone from total dysfunction to high productivity. You have to be offering morphine for a severe pain, not just a nice-to-have vitamin. And you can actually measure that transformation, kinda. It's called the gain/pain ratio, and it's the ultimate litmus test. On one side of the scale, you pile on all the incredible gain you deliver. And on the other side, you have to account for all the pain, the friction, the cost, the risk a customer has to go through just to adopt your solution. And that pain is so much more than just the price tag. Oh no, you have to think about the hidden pains. Retraining a team, changing a workflow that's been around for years, taking a risk on a small startup. And maybe the most powerful force in the entire universe, simple inertia. People just don't like to change. So this all leads to the million-dollar question, doesn't it? How much better does your solution really need to be? How much gain do you need to pile up to overcome all that pain and inertia and actually convince someone to switch? The answer, according to decades of startup wisdom, is 10x. 10 times. Your solution can't just be a little bit better. It has to be an order of magnitude better. 10 times faster, 10 times cheaper, 10 times more effective. Why? Because anything less simply isn't a big enough leap to get someone to go through all the hassle of switching. Phew. Okay, we have covered a lot of ground. We found our who, we identified their hair on fire problem, we aimed for 3D breakthrough, and we passed the 10x test. Now for the really cool part. Let's assemble all those pieces into one powerful, concise statement. And here it is. It all comes together in this one beautiful sentence. Think of it like Mad Libs for a killer value prop. You just slot in your who, what they're currently stuck with, your incredible 3D solution, and that all-important 10x benefit. This one sentence. This becomes your North Star. It guides every single decision you make from here on out. But there's one last crucial piece of this whole puzzle. It's called founder market fit. See, a great value prop doesn't just appear in a vacuum. The most powerful, most sustainable ideas come from this incredible alignment between you, the founder, your unique passion and insight, the problem you're tackling, and the solution you've created. It answers the fundamental question, why you? So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. As you use this entire framework, never, ever forget to ask yourself, why am I the one to solve this? What unique insight, what deep-seated passion do I have that makes me the perfect person to see this problem, to build this solution, and to create real value in the world? Because answering that, that's the question that truly matters. Thanks for digging into this with me.